Hello, this is the last video from this series on Dawkins and the Selfish Gene by Ed Sexton. First, I will give you a recap of the content of the whole series and a few words about the author, which I'll read from the back cover of the book, and then read the last little chapter with the conclusion. Dawkins and the Selfish Gene. The biologist Richard Dawkins is renowned for his theory of, in inverted commas, the selfish gene. But what does this theory really say, and why do so many people object to it? In this thought-provoking book, Ed Sexton explains Dawkins' ideas and show how they have been widely misunderstood. By separating the rhetoric of the man from the content of his theory, criticisms of the selfish gene can be uncovered and analyzed. The myth of Dawkins' genetic determinism is exposed, shattering the sterile dichotomy between nature and nurture that has hindered so much of our previous thinking about life and mind. This offers the possibility of a new synthesis between evolutionary theory and psychology, evolutionary psychology. Clearly and engagingly written, Dawkins and the Selfish Gene will appeal to all those struggling to make sense of the recent avalanche of discoveries in genetics and developmental biology. Ed Sexton holds degrees in biology and philosophy of science and specialized in the philosophy of biological sciences. He is currently a freelance writer and journalist. Conclusion. Dawkins' theory of the selfish gene is a theory about replicators. It is a theory that applies under the following conditions. 1. There must be replicators, entities capable of producing copies of themselves. 2. A small error occurs when each copy is produced, leading to differences between the copies. 3. These differences affect the copying ability of the replicator. That is pretty much it. Whether the system is played out on a computer simulation or over millions of years on Earth, the principle is the same. Replicators will be selected for their ability to copy themselves and will thus evolve ever more complex ways of going about it. This may, but need not, include the construction of complex vehicles to house the replicators and the exploitation of other replicators, in brackets or vehicles, resources. It may also include cooperating with other replicators, either in the same vehicle or in another one. Genes, lengths of DNA, are the replicators on which all life, in brackets on Earth anyway, is based. They have cooperated to build giant vehicles, organisms of increasing complexity. We are such organisms. They do not control us, however. They have a more immediate control system to ensure their survival, the brain. In humans, however, something quite extraordinary has happened. That brain has become so complex that it can turn around and appreciate the replicators that have created it and ignore the purpose for which they designed it. Dawkins' theory, although it may well run into technical difficulties with some biologists and philosophers, has been widely misunderstood. Perhaps people have credited it with more theoretical power than it in fact has, seeing a monster where there is only a shadow. Undoubtedly, Dawkins' rhetoric has added to the confusion for some. I finish with a comment originally made by Andrew Brown in The Guardian in an article supposedly attacking Dawkins, but which Dawkins reused in his subsequent reply. A quotation. It would be possible to write a long article demolishing almost everything people believe Richard Dawkins has said, using only his own words. Close the quotation. Andrew Brown, Food for Thought, in The Guardian, 11th of June 1997. Thank you for listening and for your patience. Goodbye.